DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is what school does not teach and why school does not teach it. Now, I have many times over the history of this show, if you didn't know, I will gladly let you know, many times over the history of this show, I have trashed the American educational system because it is trash and it deserves to be trashed. And I will continue to trash the American educational system. But today, I am going to kind of trash it, but not really. That's not really the aim here today. I could trash it. If you want to hear me trash it, go listen to episode number 3209. Also, episode number 199 for some frames of reference when it comes to me trashing the educational system. Actually, I have a lot more than that if you're interested. We got a lot. But today's episode is about some specific areas that school does not teach. And although most people should know these things and have an education, so to speak, in these areas, and will eventually need knowledge in these areas, whether you got it from school or you never got it at all, you got it outside of school, or you never got it at all. People end up looking for knowledge and information on these things outside of school, or eventually they run into a problem of not having knowledge in these areas. School has never taught them. And today I want to talk about not only what these things are and why these things are essential to life. I'm also going to tell you why school seems to ignore teaching these, or it's not even that school ignores it. School, and they do ignore it, but they are actively ignoring it. Yeah, ignoring is a good word. We can say omitting, because you can omit something without knowing that it exists. I can just not do something because I'm not aware of it. School is aware of these things, but it does not teach it. And when I say school, I'm not talking about an individual teacher. I'm talking about the entire academic apparatus of the United States of America is what I'm describing here today. So if you happen to be a teacher and you're listening to what I'm saying here today, this is not personal against you. It seems to me, this often happens more with women than it does with men, but it's increasingly happening more with feminized men, that when I talk about a general industry or a general group, people respond as if I am attacking them personally. So I talk about the medical industry, I get somebody who's a nurse who gets mad at something that I say. Or I'll talk about the educational industry, I get someone who's a teacher who comes in defending against what I said, as if what I said was not accurate, and they don't even challenge what I actually said. And I'm like, okay, I got you. I heard what you said, but what the hell does that have to do with what I said? Nothing. So any of you who fall into that category, please don't take this personally. But if you do take it personal, that ain't my fucking problem. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is what school does not teach. Number one, entrepreneurship. School does not teach entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? It is defined as running or starting a business enterprise while taking on greater than normal financial risk. That's the definition of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is absolutely not for everybody. Not everyone who is listening to this should be an entrepreneur. Some of you have not gotten out of school yet. You should not become an entrepreneur because it's just not for you. Some of you are out of school and you are not an entrepreneur, and you should not become an entrepreneur. Some of you have tried your hand at entrepreneurship and decided that it's not for you, and you're probably right. You should not try again. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Entrepreneurship, as a matter of fact, is not for most people. Most people should not be entrepreneurs. For one, the risk factor involved in entrepreneurship eliminates at least 80% of the population from ever seriously partaking in entrepreneurship, like really trying. Most people do not have the two essential elements you need to be an entrepreneur. And it's not a product, it's not a website, it's not a logo, it's not an LLC. All those are logical thinking things. The two essential things you need to be an entrepreneur, you can write these down. Any of you thinking about being an entrepreneur, actually just ask yourself if you have them. Number one, you need big balls. And number two, you need a very strong stomach. Those are two things you need to be an entrepreneur. Big balls and a strong stomach. What does that mean? Big balls means you need to be bold enough to literally bet on yourself in a way that you might not win. And strong stomach means you need to be able to deal with the anxiety, the possible anxiety and possible stress of the uncertainty that comes with not knowing that your paycheck is guaranteed coming every 2 weeks. Knowing that your paycheck is not guaranteed to come every 2 weeks, said more accurately. If you don't have the stomach to deal with that or the balls to take that risk, you should not become an entrepreneur. Well, without balls and a strong stomach, entrepreneurship is not for you. Okay, so all that being said, entrepreneurship also requires taking extreme ownership and extreme responsibility over your career situation, even when the things that happen in your career are not your fault and not your doing. Most people are not programmed for that style of thinking, but everyone who has a job has the job, they have a job because some entrepreneur decided to take a risk and found a way to make it work. If you think about it. Entrepreneurship requires extreme ownership and responsibility over your career, even when the things that happen in your career are often not your fault and not of your doing, i.e. something happens in the industry that you happen to work in and it fucks you up. That's not your fault. It is not of your doing, but it still affects you because you're in the industry. And there's no recourse for you to go to. There's no boss to complain to because you are the boss. And again, most people are not programmed for this style of thinking. This is why extreme ownership is one of the 12 work on your game commandments, because work on your game ain't for everybody. All right, the mindset behind what I do ain't for everybody. I know it ain't for everybody. And if I wanted to be for everybody, I would not say 80% of the things that I say on the show. I would say them differently. Let's say it that way. Most people are not programmed for this style of thinking, but everybody who has a job, any of you has a job right now, the reason you have a job is because there was an entrepreneur out there somewhere who decided to take a risk and they made it work, and now they created this system through which you work and you get your check. Without entrepreneurs, there are no jobs. And without jobs, there are no paychecks. And most people have nothing to do. So the question is, why does school not teach entrepreneurship? Because everybody who has a job, an entrepreneur did something that led to that job. So no one can say they have no connection to entrepreneurship. Everybody has a connection to it. School doesn't teach entrepreneurship because school is not designed to make you independent when it comes to your professional life. That's the reason why school doesn't teach entrepreneurship. Because if you were taught how to be an entrepreneur in school and you had a half decent teacher and some half decent textbooks, many more students would say, well, why not be an entrepreneur instead of going and getting a job? And that would make you more independent to where you don't need to work within anyone's system to get your paycheck and to take care of your food, clothing, shelter, basic needs. School is not designed to do that. School is not designed to do that. School is not designed to make you independent. It's designed to make you dependent. School is not designed to make you independently wealthy. It's hard to become independently wealthy through just full-time employment. Now, there's only so much money from every check you can save. School is designed to teach you to do the same thing during your adult years that it has you doing during your adolescent years. What do you do during your adolescent years when you're in school? Well, it's very simple. All of you have been to school before. What do? What do you do when you're a kid in school? You show up, you sit down, you shut up, and you wait till somebody tells you what to do. Then they tell you when to stop doing it. And then they just pay you when you're an adult. When you're in school, that's it. They tell you when to stop doing it, you go home. You come back the next day, do the same thing all over again. Sit down, show up, sit down, shut up, wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You do that over and over again for 10 to 15 years as a student. Then you go get a job as an adult, and what do? Show up, sit down, shut up, wait for somebody to tell you what to do. Only difference as an adult is that they give you money for it, called your salary or your wages, paycheck, whatever you call it. Only difference between school and adult and having a job as an adult is that you get paid for sitting down, shutting up, and doing what you're told to do. And they pay you just enough, as a general rule, they pay you just enough money that you cannot afford to stop showing up. So in other words, it becomes a form of slavery. I'm not talking about chattel slavery, but this becomes a form of slavery because you're a slave to the paycheck. You may not even like your job or your boss or your coworkers, but you need what that check provides. Therefore, you got to keep showing up. So the job owns you. You don't have a job. The job has you because you need to keep the job more than the job needs to keep you. They can more easily replace you than you can replace the job. So the job becomes your boss. It's not your boss is your boss. The job is your boss because it owns you. Everybody understand? But if they teach you how to be an entrepreneur, then none of these things would occur. And school is not designed to create entrepreneurs. It's designed to create employees. That's the reason why the modern educational system was designed to create factory workers during the Industrial Revolution. Now, of course, school has changed in many ways. It has changed since the Industrial Revolution, but in many ways, it's still exactly the same. The framework is still there. It's the exact same framework. Sit down, shut up, listen to what I say, and leave when I tell you to leave. Come back tomorrow, and we'll do the same thing over again. We're going to program you for you to do this for 12 to 15 years, and then you'll go out into the adult world fully trained to do exactly what you did in school as an adult until you retire or until you die, whichever one happens first. If I got this wrong, let me know. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is what school does not teach and why. Number 2, sales. School does not teach you how to sell. Everybody in life needs to know how to sell. All right, selling is about influence and persuasion. Who here does not want to know how to, or not be good at influencing and persuading other people? There's a whole book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Who does not want to be good at this? Is there anybody listening to me who does not want to be good at influencing and persuading people to whatever it is you're trying to influence and persuade them to? Sales, ladies and gentlemen, is the bedrock of entrepreneurship, by the way. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a salesperson by default. You have to sell your ideas. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your products and services. You are always selling because you got to keep selling everybody who is involved with you to keep being involved with you. Even if you have a sales team and you're not doing the sales yourself anymore, you got to sell the sales team to make sure they're motivated to keep selling. You got to sell everybody. You got to sell your vendors. You got to sell the government, maybe. You got to sell your affiliate partners. You got to sell your staff. You got to sell everybody when you're an entrepreneur. Even if you're not actively selling anything, you still have to sell them. Did you see the movie The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio playing Jordan Belfort? Remember that movie? Now, Leonardo DiCaprio came out and he had this, I think he called it the straight line sales system. Actually, I know he called it the straight line sales system. And he would go out and he would sell. He became a really good salesperson. But he was so good that he eventually opened his own firm and he hired a bunch of salespeople. And if you watch the movie, you remember there are many scenes in that movie where Jordan Belfort, aka the Wolf of Wall Street, he is not doing the selling himself, but what is he doing? He is selling his team of salespeople to stay motivated and engaged to make more sales. Remember that famous speech that he gives during the movie? He says, if you're broke and you can't pay your rent right now, good. Get on the phone and start dialing. If your wife thinks you're a sack of shit because you can't maintain the lifestyle that you're living financially, good. Get on the phone and start dialing. If you're not sure what you're going to do with the rest of your life, good. Get on the phone and start dialing. What is he doing in that speech? He is motivating, i.e. selling. Motivation is a form of sales. It's an emotional and mental sale. He is motivating and selling his team on making more sales. Why? Because he runs the sales team, and the more sales they make, the more money he makes. When you're an entrepreneur, you're selling all day, every day. Everything you do is sales. As soon as you walk in the office, you're selling. What I just tell you about the foundational laws of energy, people are picking up on your vibration. And if your vibration is down, then everybody's vibration is down because you're the leader. When you're an entrepreneur, all of these things matter. So when I say sales, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about influencing and persuading people, including when it involves money. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to keep selling. You got to sell your customers. You got to sell your clients. You got to sell your prospects. You got to sell your staff. You got to sell anybody who comes into your business. You got to sell collaborative partners, joint venture affiliates, vendors. You got to sell to government. You got to continually sell to people all day, every day as an entrepreneur. The reason why school does not teach sales, or at least they don't teach it very well, because anybody who's really good at sales will not be working in a school. They can make a lot more money elsewhere. Is for one, when you can sell, you are a potential entrepreneur. Anybody who knows how to sell can become an entrepreneur. Now, just because you can sell does not guarantee you'll be an entrepreneur. Damn sure doesn't mean you'll be a good one. But if you know how to sell, you have the potential to be an entrepreneur, because if you can't sell, you cannot be an entrepreneur. Okay? Every entrepreneur knows how to sell, and anyone who doesn't know how to sell cannot be an entrepreneur. Okay? Not every entrepreneur is a salesperson. Actually, excuse me. Every entrepreneur is a salesperson, but not every salesperson is an entrepreneur. That's the way I meant to say that. Anyone who can sell, again, is eligible for entrepreneurship as long as you can also learn how to market and then on some level learn how to operate a business, whatever that would mean for your industry. And operating a business is a different skill set than selling, but you probably need both if you're going to be an entrepreneur. Anyone who knows how to operate a business but doesn't know how to sell won't be in business for long. So if you get a business degree and it teaches you how to operate a business, what they're teaching you is how to get a job operating a business, but it's not teaching you how to run your own business, because you have to be able to sell to run your own business. If I know all the operations of a business, but I can't sell, well, what am I operating? There's no business to operate because there ain't no money coming in. There is no business. Business happens when there's money coming in. No money coming in, you have no business. So again, another reason, I just touched on this, school does not teach sales because anybody who's really good at sales will never be a school teacher. So there's nobody to teach sales in a school because, again, good salespeople would never waste their time in a school taking a pay cut from what they could be making actually doing real sales in real life. Unfortunate. This is an unfortunate reality. So I could, as a guest professor, show up to the University of Miami or FIU or FAU or some university down here in South Florida, and I could teach a class or three on sales to the college students, but I would never take a full-time job teaching sales on a college campus. Why would I do that? Why would I teach sales on a college campus full-time when I can actually sell full-time and make a lot more money? This is the reason why school doesn't teach sales, because any good salesperson would never waste their time teaching in school. All due respect to the teachers. Most of y'all ain't salespeople. Again, due respect. All right, so they will be doing something, as I just said, that pays a whole lot better for the sales ability. Sales is the oldest and highest paying profession in the world. And if you are good at selling and you have the ability to teach selling to others, again, you wouldn't be teaching selling in school if you didn't know how to teach selling. If you can sell and you can teach selling, again, why would you be a teacher? And that's kind of a rhetorical question because you don't see any good salespeople working as teachers. There aren't any. Next, point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is what school does not teach and why. Number 3, personal finance. School does not teach personal finance. And when I say personal finance, I'm not talking about an economics degree. I'm not talking about a finance degree. I'm not talking about you can explain tariffs and taxes and that kind of, that's not what I'm talking about. I'd say specifically personal finance. School intentionally does not teach this because they don't want you to have the ability to operate your own personal financial system. They don't want you to know how to do this. First, again, let's establish personal finance. Let me go over it again. This does not mean economics degree. Doesn't mean you can explain tariffs, taxes, or inflation or supply and demand curves. It's fine if you know that. That's not what I mean. Personal finance is about your understanding of your own money, your own dollars, and how to best allocate them to put yourself in the best financial position by the time you're ready to exit the workforce, whenever that may be. That's what personal finance is. That means your personal economy. Does school teach you about having your own personal economy? I've heard the phrase before, but I didn't hear it in school. I heard it from entrepreneurs who talk about money in books and courses, programs, masterminds, etc. That's where I heard about it. Where'd you hear about it? If you've heard about it at all. Just from that explanation alone, I think everyone would agree that we would all benefit from having learned this, sales, as early as possible, in personal finance, as early as possible, i.e. when you were a child. Right? My child is not quite old enough to absorb what I'm talking about right here, but as soon as he is, he'll be learning it. And he'll learn some of it from me. He'll learn more of it from others who have written books, made courses, videos, et cetera, who can explain it even further than I can explain it. But he's going to understand it. And I'm going to make sure he understands it. Why? Because it's one of the key things he needs to know. All 3 things I'm telling you right here, my son's going to know these before he's old enough to even go to school. Personal finance, sales, entrepreneurship. He will understand what each one of them is and why they matter. And because school will never teach him. So whether I wait till he's 12 years old or 16, if I wasn't teaching when he's 16, he's still going to know more than all his classmates in school if they don't have parents who are focusing on these things, because school ain't going to teach it. Ain't nobody in school qualified to teach these things. Everybody following me here? So some of you who had parents who understood the value of personal finance, they probably told you about these things at a very young age. For the rest of us, including myself, who were not so lucky, we had to come across it later on, often well into adulthood. Some of you still have not come across it. I would suggest you go look it up now that I'm bringing it to your attention. The good news for all of us in that latter group is that we will not make the same mistake with our kids that was made with us. All right, depending on how old your kids are. All right. And we want them to know about it as early as possible. Right. Personal finance, ladies and gentlemen, is about understanding the concepts of paying yourself first, keeping and multiplying your money, putting yourself in position financially to best prosper, not only during your prime earning years, but also in your later years, maybe your post-working years, and set up your next generations financially in ways in which maybe you were not set up. Now, the question is, here's the key question. Why does school not teach you this? And why does school not want you to know this? If you agree with my definition of what personal finance is about, why would school not make this like the number one priority? I mean, they make sure that you know your multiplication tables, and they make sure you know, I don't mind the reading, writing, and basic arithmetic, but anything beyond that, why do you have a history class or an art class or a science class? Why the hell do you need to know those things when you can look them up these days? You can look them up on the internet. Why do you need to know those things, but they don't teach you personal finance? If I had a choice between history class and personal finance class, I'm taking the personal finance class. Why do I need the history class? What do I need it for? Just a story, and it's written down, and different people got different versions of that same story. Why do I need to sit in the classroom and hear one version of a story when I'm gonna get out of school and hear 8 other versions of the exact same story? Why do I need to know this? There's no answer to the question because it's bullshit. Again, this is why I trash the American educational system. So why does school not want you to know this? Because the more you know this, the less you will listen to your teachers. This is the reason they don't teach it. School doesn't teach personal finance. If you really understood it, you wouldn't listen to any of your teachers. Most teachers, again, due respect to the teachers, most teachers have not been taught personal finance, so they can't teach it to you because they don't know it. No school system curriculum is going to okay teaching personal finance to students, because once you start learning these things, like personal finance, you're going to start questioning damn near everything that a school is trying to teach you. And the last thing a school wants is a bunch of students who are questioning the curriculum. And to keep it real, there's a lot of parents who are sending their kids to school who they don't know enough to question the curriculum. That's why they're sending their kids to the school. So the school does not want, the school system, let's say, the educational system doesn't want a bunch of students questioning the curriculum. They don't want a bunch of parents questioning the curriculum. And let alone do they want students and parents questioning the teachers who have to teach the curriculum, because the teachers are kind of caught in the middle here. If you're a teacher listening to this, as I said, this is not personal against you. You work within the system, so you got to do what the system tells you to do. Same way, I'm not mad at a doctor or a nurse. I understand you're working in the system and you were trained to do certain things a certain way, regardless of what happened and regardless of your personal feelings. You got to do what the system tells you to do. So that's why I don't put myself in the middle of that situation by dealing with doctors and nurses, because they're going to do what the medical system trained them to do. Same way teachers are going to do what the educational system trains you to do. And because you got a job there, you got to do what the job tells you to do, not what you want to do. Generally, that's how it goes. Now, it's different if you're an independent doctor with your own practice, but you all get the point of what I'm saying there. Get the spirit of my point. School doesn't teach these things because they don't want you to know them, because if you knew them, then you wouldn't listen to what's being taught in school. That's the whole point. And it's the reason why most of your favorite, not favorite, but those who you can recognize who are college professors, you'll notice something about them. They were all really, really good students in school. I want you to think about what that means as I recap today's class, which is what school does not teach and why. Number one, entrepreneurship. Running or starting a business enterprise while taking on greater than normal financial risk. It is not for everybody. As a matter of fact, it's not for most people, but school does not teach you entrepreneurship because school is not designed for entrepreneurs. It's designed for employees. It's designed to create more and more employees, factory, straight off the conveyor belt employees. That's what school is designed to make, and that's what it is successfully doing. Number two, sales. Sales is the bedrock of being an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur is a salesperson. Not every salesperson is an entrepreneur, but every entrepreneur is a salesperson. And if you learn how to sell and influence and persuade people, then you may not need what school is teaching you. And school does not want to make itself irrelevant. Further, anybody who's good enough at sales that they can teach it to somebody else will never waste their time being a school teacher. Number three, personal finance. There's another one that school intentionally does not teach, because they don't want you to have this ability. Because if you had this ability and you understood personal finance, you would start questioning every single thing that school is telling you. You would even start questioning the teachers themselves. And the last thing the educational system wants is a bunch of subjects, i.e. students, who are questioning everything that the system is doing. They want to keep you quiet and compliant. And if they do that, then they can keep doing their thing. Everybody can keep making their money, and everybody lives happily ever after. This is why you need to understand things that are going on outside of the systems in which you are operating. All that said, everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to start applying these things that are, I guess, what some of you would consider outside the box that you were not taught traditionally. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I will help you. I will coach you. Let's get to it. Work on your game. Dre, all